Hey, how's it going, guys? Laughing Lasagna here. We're doing an interview with my pastor from River of God Ministries.
Yes.
Yes. So, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
We've been trying to plan this for
months.
Yes. We did my mom, actually my dad first, right?
Yep.
Then we did my mom. And then we did a couple of people besides that, and you were interested, and so we figured give it a shot, and we couldn't find time. It's weird how that happened. But yes, so we are now here live, and we're just doing a small interview to see who he is for you guys. So I know most of these answers to these questions, except for maybe 3 of them. 3 of them.
I hope I do.
So a lot of questions that people had was like some of the theological questions, and then I was like, well, let's just go with the make this maybe a part 1 out of 50 interviews, maybe.
All right.
So
big plans there.
Yes, because Joy Drive showed up today, and she was like, you have so many questions you can answer. Like, people can have like 100 questions in a day, and you seem to have an answer on every single one of them. Where do you come up with most of these answers, though?
Logic,
just
calculating it, study, listen. I listen a lot. I found a lot of other people have incredible intelligence, even people who don't necessarily think that they would. Even this guy here, he's a pretty smart guy.
Thanks.
Found out a bunch of stuff. Even like his setup here is really cool. And so I just watch and listen, and then I just store all that information for whenever it's useful, and make logical answers, and just try to be as honest as I can. I think that's a big thing that a lot of people don't do. They're just simply not honest and really don't want to face the answers to a lot of questions.
They have the right question, but they don't want to take the honest answer back.
Right.
So it's like, is drinking bad? Here's the honest answer. No, I don't want to know the honest answer. Give me your opinion then. So yeah, no, I completely understand that. I completely agree with that. One of the things is I was talking to somebody earlier today, and they had to come up with a explanation to something, and I gave my honest answer to them today, and I hope it grew our friendship as well as our trust in our mutual streaming as buddies of you would. And so part of becoming a pastor is you gotta be honest with your members, and then with the flock in a sense,
and yourself.
Yes. And then a lot of it has to do with being knowledgeable of the scriptures as well as being in your theological background as well, right?
Right.
You gotta be able to understand. Like for me, like when someone says in the Greek text, you come up with the actual Greek text and the definition of it. I've never seen it in a pastor. I always hear someone say, "Well, the Greek says," and there's no proof.
Right.
Whereas you say, "Well, this is a proof of what the Greek meant," and also the Hebrew. You're going, "Wait, there's more than one definition of one single word," but then you bring up the actual definition of that word in the 3 different texts and the reason why they use that certain definition. Correct?
Sure.
A lot of times you have that definition with that word that not everybody uses.
Actually, usually when I hear a pastor say, "and in the Greek this means," I usually cringe, because usually most people who say "in the Greek," most of these pastors have a smattering of Greek, just enough to be dangerous. And so they usually end up with what they do is they take, this one Greek word was translated somewhere else as, and I like that one particular definition out of the 30 ways that it could be translated, and they pick the one that they like. And it doesn't really fit in that particular place except for their doctrine. And so you really need to be able to read in Greek and Hebrew, not just be able to look things up if you want to say, "in the Greek this means."
Well, how long have you studied Greek and Hebrew?
I've had 4 years of Greek in my undergrad, I believe it was, and 2 years in my master's level. Greek and Hebrew. Greek and Hebrew.
Wow.
For each one of those.
That's a lot of studying then for words.
That was the most important thing that I found in seminary. I found a lot of the doctrine that they teach in seminary. If you just read your Bible, that's all you really need.
Yeah.
But I can't really teach myself Greek and Hebrew too well. Okay. And so that was the primary thing that I really enjoyed in seminary and in undergrad that I really liked.
Basically, it's a study of words, which is a word. What is the definition of study of words?
Etymologist.
Etymologist, yes. So you enjoy doing that. You enjoy
Love it.
The origin of words, the history of a word. So,
both Greek, Hebrew, and English.
Okay.
Understanding the meanings of words really helps understand what we're saying a lot of times. A lot of people have no idea the meanings of their words. That's one of the things that's so great about like Shakespeare is people go, he's so hard to understand. That's because he's applying so many different meanings to a word.
Right.
And if you don't understand all those, where the root word comes from and stuff like that, you miss a lot of his puns, a lot of his jokes, a lot of his spiritual intonations that he has behind what he's saying.
Saying you use the word intonation. I have no idea what that means. Do you want to explain that to the viewers, including myself?
Just it comes from in and tone, the kind of the meaning, not the actual precise definition, but the other things that are around it that go along with the precise definition, the contextual meanings. The meanings in context, the meanings in the situation.
Okay, all right, that makes more sense. Okay,
my apologies.
That's all right. It's all right. We're a gaming channel, so the game words I have are like build, repeat, and shoot. So okay, so yeah,
I love gaming too. So
yeah, my college level of words is increasing.
Amen.
By talking with you and a lot of people in the church, because the more you learn at church, the better off you are in real life. Don't you forget that. So the thing is, it was kind of funny is your definition or you're explaining like the use of the word love was a big thing that I learned even as a teenager till my adult life. The meaning of love has changed in the past for me 15 years. Okay. And
praise God.
The love of being rebuked is not quite there as a teenager, but the love of being at least corrected harshly in between my teenage years till now has changed my view of life drastically by at least 180.
Cool.
Once in a while it does differ. Believe me, it will differ.
Understood.
I gotta be honest there, it will differ. But my love for at least the parents, if you would, the pastoral correctness and all that. I mean, it's in the Bible. You don't correct your children, you hate them.
Right.
And people say, well, if I don't correct them, then I love them so much. No, you don't love your kids. You don't correct them. And that's the thing is you see a lot of, if you would, spoiled people in churches sometimes because the pastor is too afraid to be correcting their flock.
Right.
And the shepherd, even in real times, has a rod to correct his sheep. Why aren't pastors these days using the rod in their own churches? That's my question, and I know it's a really in-depth question to you. So give me about at least a good 3-minute answer of why are pastors so afraid of correcting their flock these days?
I can say it very simply. I don't need 3 minutes.
Okay.
They don't want to lose their members. They don't want to lose the size of their church. They don't want to lose the money that comes in from the people who are giving in the church. Okay. They're afraid to correct their church because if they do so, they will feel rejected themselves. That's why it's so loving to discipline, to correct people, is because you're taking a risk, a huge risk.
Right.
When I've corrected you, it's like, the reason why is I want to see you going better and bigger in the things of God and in life and in your job, etc. But in order to do that, I got to say some things that are going to
offend somebody,
perhaps hurt a little bit, because anytime we find out something that we're not doing the best way possible, even sometimes it's a little bit painful.
Right. And
people don't like it when someone says that. And I want you to stay as my friend. I want you to stay as one of the people in my church. So I take that risk anytime that I help you out. Okay. And love says, I'm going to be willing to take that risk.
And that's why it's kind of nice to see the application of what it says in, I believe it was Jeremiah, about the molding the clay and God being the potter.
Yes.
The molding is not the fun part, believe me. But, if you don't get molded, you probably get shattered.
Right.
Made again, which is another the growth process. But if you're still making lumps on purpose, while the potter's trying to fix you, going, no, stop moving around so much. There's another lump here. I gotta make you all over again. That shattering is those parts in life are going. Either you get arrested, or you drunk driving and you get a car accident. You maybe lose a leg. That's stuff that in my experience, as well as seeing this in real life, God keeps trying to change people as much as he can, but it's our willingness to change as well.
Yes.
You know, it's our, if you would, people say, well, we all have free will. Yeah, for a reason. To make our own decisions, but God wants us to make decisions for him as well, you know, not just for ourselves. So, but yeah, that's part of what I was trying to bring with the definition of love is, you know, God loves us so much to keep remaking that clay and keep pounding away all the mistakes and going, this is what's wrong. But us as clay don't seem to understand because we're just clay sometimes. We're not willing to listen and understand that we're actually meant as vessels, not just clay.
Differences between a short-term view and a long-term view.
Yeah.
As short-term, yes, it hurts when we're being molded. Yes, it hurts when we're being changed. We want to stay exactly like we are. I mean, we kind of look at ourselves, and I don't think there's anybody who's going, I like myself perfectly exactly as I am. If we're all honest with ourselves, we all know we need to have work done on us. But when it comes right down to actually doing the work, then we're like, no, not that area.
Right.
And yet, if we have a long-term view, we look at it as, but I want to get to that beautiful final product. And if we keep that in view, then the short-term pain is no big deal. And even if we want to using the word pain, a person who actually is wise, the Bible says, loves correction.
Yep.
If you tell me I'm doing something wrong in my life, I'm like, if you can prove it. I mean, I'm not talking about someone who just simply says, "Oh, you're doing this wrong. You're doing this wrong." You know, just attack for no reason.
Right.
But if they can actually legitimately show me something I'm doing wrong, I'm like, "Thank you very much. Now I'm a better person today than I was before because I've been able to change that."
You can correct it, you can change it, and make more narrow your path.
Yes, and I love that.
Yeah,
I actually enjoy that.
And I think that's kind of why it's kind of I'm more concerned with much larger churches because I'm afraid of, you know, not being able to have that one-on-one with pastors, you know, and where I always appreciate like the small churches that are willing, you have more time to be with a pastor and go, hey, where am I going wrong? And they're willing to sit down and say, hey, we noticed this in your either your tithing or your car's falling apart, what's going on in life, what's going on, and you're going, well, how does that tie into my life? And you're going, well, what's going on with your, you know, financials could affect also your life and vice versa, you know. And so that's kind of something I was never brought up into,
right?
Because we've always been in larger churches, you know, growing up, and then now it's more like I desire that more one-on-one with a smaller group because then you can learn a lot more, I believe. So
I think I have no problem with a large church,
right?
As long as there's one thing that a large church has. If you're in a large church, you need to be involved in a small group. Mm-hmm. Because in a large church, you just get lost in the crowd if all you're doing is coming on Sunday mornings to the big service.
Right.
You have to have a small local group that you can sit down with a leader who will speak into your life and talk about the things like your finances. You know, I mean, a lot of people go, finances? Why is that religious? Do you know Jesus talked more about finances than he did about hell or heaven?
Really?
Number one concept in the Bible is finances. That's discussed. Number one thing that Jesus spent his time doing was healing people. With the possible exception of if you want to use the kingdom of heaven,
right? The
principles of the kingdom of heaven. If you just want to use that term, then I'm not saying a thing. But when we're talking about what heaven is like, stuff like that, or what hell is like, Jesus spent much more of his time talking about things that were practical, everyday things. And in fact, on one of his sermons or parables, I should say, on finances, he said, if you cannot deal correctly with things about finances, how will you ever be able to deal with the spiritual things?
True. Because
the principles are very similar.
Right.
But now let's apply it to the spiritual life. And if you can't figure out how to deal with things in just a normal, regular, physical life, good luck trying to figure out how to deal with things that are invisible and spiritual.
Which is why it explains in the Proverbs as well as the New Testament about the lazy man has like nothing to reap because he doesn't sow.
Yeah.
And so sowing and reaping is a huge saying where it shows, you know, what you reap, what you sow. Whereas a lazy man who's not willing to sow anything, he's not reaping the rewards. It's just a lot of the thorns and thistles and sorrows. And he always wonders why my life's so horrible, where you're not willing to sow in your own heart the word, you know, the love of God in your heart. And so Yeah, that's something I've been kind of struggling with, trying to understand. I know as a teenager I was huge into being the lazy guy, the slow poke in a sense, who's that one to listen and just rebel and be lazy because it was so hard.
Right.
Life was so hard. Why is life so hard? Well, I'm not sowing anything,
right?
Except for thistles,
which makes it harder in the long run. Again, it's that short term versus long term.
Exactly. So in the long term, I could have been so much more today if I was willing to listen and learn, understand the word that you were preaching, or any pastor was preaching. At the time you're my pastor at the time, but even when I was a younger kid, I didn't go to church to learn. I went to church to have fun with friends, have fun with the VBS, all that stuff. It was more to be social. And I think as a lot of the issue I think is going on these days as well is church has become over a social club.
It has.
And so for me, I want to be able to learn in a church. And so far in my past 20 years of actually understanding churches in a sense, I believe that this has been the one that I've been called to stay at because I've learned a lot more. But we're going to go into something a little less. Go ahead.
Can I just jump in there on what you said about sowing and reaping just real quick?
Yes, go ahead.
I'll make it real short because I can see you going to do something else. But, that's a perfect example of what I was saying as far as things in the natural versus things in the spiritual.
Yeah.
Sowing and reaping works both in the natural and the spiritual. And if you can't do it in life, if you can't learn how to be a giver with your finances and bless people and try to help people, you're not going to be able to learn how to be a giver in the spiritual realm and giving things in the spiritual realm either. So the two go hand in hand. But I just want to jump that in.
No, and that makes the point a little more clear, and that's pretty quick. So again, telling you to show more proof that my pastor, I enjoy talking to you a lot because you make things very more understandable to us guys who are like the rednecks, going, "Durr, what does that word mean?" But it's.
I grew up in the country. I'm a redneck, in a sense.
In a sense, but you were able to take, like, say, the one sample of a word or one meaning of a word and be able to spread it out into, like, say, a 5-minute sermon and make it understandable to someone who, like myself, who going, I work in a shop, don't understand a word you're saying sometimes, but I can at least ask you during a sermon and go, hey, I have a certain question.
Absolutely. And
you're willing to, explain. Not everybody will be in the same boat of understanding. Oh, it's him again asking the same question again. I'm sorry, I understand this word. So it's like you're kind of, in my words, a walking dictionary as well as a walking theological book. I can talk about and say, hey, do you believe in this and why? Do you believe in, like, mummies and why not? Why are they even a huge thing? Because a lot of people have asked me before, do you believe in certain, like, demons or werewolves or ghosts? And I'm going, personally, I believe in certain things because of my upbringing as well as what I've done in my past. And then when I ask you certain questions, you're able to back it up with theological points as well as biblical points, saying this is what I use my basis on. And that's why I enjoy talking to you so much, because you can back up almost literally every 98% of your answers by using a biblical verse or just a
biblical principle.
Yes, biblical principle. Yes. So for those who are out there watching, I have like 5 viewers. I appreciate everyone watching so far.
Hi.
We kind of got in depth. I felt like getting led to go that way because I'm like, I think this is something we should talk about at least in the very first 20 minutes, which we have been.
Okay.
And I'm going.
So that much already.
I need to make sure to make people, give you a little insight of how he preaches, as well as how I keep trying to receive things. Is my growth in this stream is been shown hopefully in the church, as well as I'm trying to figure a way to make this life more beneficial by being able to spread more of this. The understanding of love that I've received in this church by talking to you a whole bunch, and as well as listening to God, reading my Bible. And that's the biggest thing so far. Reading the Bible has been the biggest thing to do daily for me, to receive God's love, to understand God's love, because Proverbs has been like reaching my heart a lot. And then Ezekiel has been a huge one right now.
Yes.
So I'm going, this is what I used to preach when I was in my little stage. When I was a huge rebellious teenager.
Ezekiel's part of our daily Bible reading right now.
Yeah. And so bringing that on a different level now, going, this is where I have been. There's still part of me that's still going, it still hurts to read that, because, like, yeah, I know everybody sins. I sin daily, you know, but, you know, this is like, if I'm not willing to listen and understand, this is where I could have been ending up, you know, in a daily spiritual sense as well as a daily physical sense as well. So some of the questions that people had that I wrote down, because again, we're a gaming channel. So I said,
Wonderful. I like
Pastor's a gamer, and they're going, no, Pastor's not a gamer. He is. But
love games.
one of the things that they asked was, what was your first board game that you actually remember playing and enjoying?
Monopoly.
Monopoly. How old were you? 3?
Probably.
Wow.
Probably 4.
Probably 4.
I remember that overhearing my parents talking about how we were playing Monopoly, and I was playing with some older kids, and they were talking about how this is a great way of learning about life from this. And so from that, I thought that this was actual reality. This was what mortgage rates were, and these were. And later on, I'm like, no, that wasn't a reflection of reality. And I was really disappointed because I tried to learn so much from that game about real life.
Gotcha. The reason why I brought, again, how young he was with board games is there's a some people have been questioning, like for with you or with people. I say, hey, my pastor has learned things when he's like 5 years old, and they're going, there's no way someone 5 years old knows how to do these certain things. I'm going, well, he's a bit smarter than a lot of us, you know. And it's a God-given gift. Believe me, it's a God-given gift. It's a huge God-given gift. Because a lot of us at 5 years old, all we do is DOS stuff, or if
you're doing DOS computer stuff at 5 years old, you're doing really good.
Or baking goods with your mother, or stirring the pot, or filling the tank.
I didn't want to do that.
But for me, you kind of understood some of the basics of earthly functions when you were what, 2?
Depends what you mean by earthly functions. One of my earliest memories that was around 4 years old, asking my dad about where heaven was and how people could get there, and how could our gifts that are going to God get up to heaven if they were up and so forth.
Questions I never asked at 4 years old. At 4 years old, I'm going, you know, how do you make peanut butter sandwiches? How do you make chocolate milk? You know, that going, it comes from the brown cows. So for you, you're asking the right questions in a world that wasn't ready for the correct answers at the time.
Yeah.
Okay.
In fact, that was one of my earliest questions at around the same time was, God, why was I born at this particular time?
And you want to be born when?
I felt like I was going to be born in one of the highest levels of technology in our civilization for some reason. And at the moment, I thought that can't be this time. This was in 1960s. And because obviously we are just shooting upwards like that into technology, and this is not as high as we're going.
Right.
But it is. And we are actually in many ways declining as a civilization. I think that we're moving towards the dark ages. That's coming up. I know that's a big mouthful to talk about right there, but
we're all kind of going, yeah. But AT&T,
hopefully it won't happen. Hopefully it won't happen.
AT&T and Dish Network TV, you know, the big rise star right there, you know.
Communications and computers were continuing to grow. A lot of other areas of science, we are not.
Like space age and
fusion power. It's been 40 years away for the last 50 to 60 years.
But now it's all, you know, air power and, you know, solar power now, because it helps in nature, you know.
And fusion power, if we have fusion power, we would have basically almost unlimited power, because all you need for it is water.
Hear that, kids? Okay, so Monopoly is the first board game that you actually enjoyed and remember playing at 4?
Yes. Around
4. Okay, you still enjoy Monopoly.
Love it.
Which is why there's, like, you know, I have a huge touch of Monopoly, because I was raised with Monopoly. And as a teenager, that was a big thing that you had us learn to play with Monopoly.
We did some teachings in church using Monopoly principles and how to work together and so forth.
Those were long.
Yes, they were.
Long sessions. Especially when he says, you know, hey, let's put 2 boards together. We're going, oh, this is going to be one of those nights.
But everybody had fun.
Almost everybody had fun. There's some people who are going, oh, we gotta be in bed soon. Okay, so next question was your favorite video game and why?
By a video game, do you mean like shoot 'em up type thing?
Any game in the world.
You mean strategy games are included in that?
Everything is involved.
Oh, then Master of Orion.
Master of Orion, and why?
Because it is building a civilization, and a lot of the games that I like to play are kind of building a civilization and utilizing the principles. How do you build alliances if you want to? Where are alliances wise? Where are they harmful? What's the best type of governments for a civilization, etc. And so it's kind of practical for a lot of real life situations, even. And when I say real life, we're going, well, I'm not the president, so I can't do that.
Right.
But just even in your relationships, how to best have a relationship, because how to structure things within any kind of community, those principles still apply.
And this game does that and much more, because you're
Yes.
showing you how to play a little bit. And put it this way, guys, the Master of Orion, it was made in 1990. 1990s somewhere, and so everybody has played like Command and Conquer Red Alert, which is a RTS game. Imagine that game, but multiply that by 25 in just a strategy version. Okay, to make your own, if you would, like your own government, take Sims, times that by 20. So basically, you're making your own family in a sense in Sims. But you're making it more in depth. Like, this is how your government's going to run. This is how you're going to be able to be resourceful. This is how you're going to farm. This is how you do strategy. It's in depth. So basically, put Sims and Command and Conquer and StarCraft and World of Warcraft. Put all those together, times it by 25, and you have Masters of Orion. It's huge.
But it is also fairly simple. In that way, it's like chess.
Right.
Which I really like. It's got a lot of complication in the sense of the possibilities.
Right.
Whereas the rules are still fairly simple, which is usually, to me, a sign of a good game.
Right, because a game of chess can either last up to days or just 5 minutes.
Sure.
Depending on who you're playing and how fast you want to play. Master of Orion is the same way, I believe. Master of Orion can take you maybe even a year to find out all the different possibilities, but also it can take you just 25 minutes just to understand the main concept, which is why I understand you enjoy the game so much, because there's so many different possibilities that you're going, it's almost endless possibilities. Almost. Because there's the different races, as well as different governments, as well as different planets that do different things, which that was pretty cool how to see that. So Masters of Orion, check it out, guys. It's on GOG, by the way. The Galaxy Store. I got it for, it was $5 at the time, but number 1 and 2. I have both of them now.
Forget number 3.
Don't play number 3. Hey, Banshee, thank you so much for the hype, boss. So people are wondering, how long have you been a pastor?
You include a youth pastor, it would have been since, I think, around 1988.
88.
Yes.
So 33 years.
Yeah, you're getting
I'm 32.
Yeah.
And I was born in 89, so that's in 30 years old. All right, cool. So
not all that was been paid and stuff like that, but yes.
Well, as basically as it be the title, right?
Sure.
And then how long were you in college to become a pastor, though?
4 long and agonizing years.
4 long and
I'm sorry, 8. I'm sorry if you include undergrad.
All right, so what's the difference between undergrad and college then? Like,
undergrad is you get your bachelor's, and then you go through seminary to get your master's. So I've had 8 years.
So you did bachelor's and master's.
Yes.
Gotcha. So you're not doctor. You're just
I would need 2 more years to get a doctorate. If I wanted to go beyond that and get a PhD, that's an unlimited amount of time because of a lot of research that you have to do.
Gotcha.
That's not defined as far as how long it
So 8 years training and 33 years practicing.
I would say that my training did not primarily come from school, college
right.
of any form, or seminary. It was when God sent me out preaching on the streets and just God's leading and teaching.
Gotcha.
But
that was in what? 84?
That was in 81.
81?
Somewhere around there. Yeah.
Okay. And yeah, we won't go into that much detail right there, but
Sure.
there's a lot more questions for more in-depth interview.
Sure.
I'll write that down later.
Okay. Yeah, that is a huge topic on its own.
Yep. All right. Make a note. Let's go with something else a little more not as in depth, hopefully, because
Okay. I'll try to keep it shallow.
Well, I'll say we're only halfway through, so we're good. So, by the way, anybody who's in the chat, if you have any questions, feel free to be respectful as you ask them. We'll put them in the message below, and then we'll try to get to you as soon as possible.
Love questions.
He loves questions, including the funny ones.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like favorite color?
Red and blue. So purple.
Purple. Okay. So. All right. So
putting them together. Red represents aggression. Blue represents thinking. So I like to have aggressive thinking.
Right. So aggressive thinking. All right. Favorite movie and why?
I'd actually probably have to say at this point, and just a bunch of them come to mind, but I'm going to go right now with the first one that popped into my mind is Devil Wears Prada, which when I first saw the title, I wanted absolutely nothing to do with it. I thought it would be a horrible movie based on the title, and the book was. I also read the book that it's based on. The book was about an incredibly rebellious young woman who, it sounds just like the title of the movie. Mm-hmm. The actual movie was very in-depth about the right way to handle authority, especially tough authority, and how to be yourself, but not be rebellious and still be submitted to authority all at the same time. And so it's a very intriguing interplay and just very well done movie. I learned a lot from it.
Devil Wears Prada. So from a pastor and a gentleman yourself, that's kind of hard to all of us to. I've seen before as well. I still trying to understand the movie.
Okay, a different one would be Phantom of the Opera.
Okay, Phantom of the Opera.
Same reason.
Same reason?
Yep.
Okay, so Phantom of the Opera or Devil Wears Prada is one of those two. Okay, or both. Are they in the same list then, like the same category in a sense?
They both kind of almost don't fit into normal categories.
Okay.
Phantom of the Opera is actually an opera. It's the only opera that I actually like. The only one.
Looney Tunes version?
That's usually classical. I love classical music. But I love almost every kind of music except for elevator music, opera, and
rap.
Country was what I was going to say. Rap, if it has music with it, I like, because then it's rap music. I like DC Talk.
DC Talk.
But yeah, otherwise maybe not so much.
So no Tupac or
probably
50
not.
Cent.
Probably not.
You made the rest of the world to go, oh.
Sorry, all you rappers out there.
I mean, I'll say one question someone did have though was, what would be your top 3 bands that you could listen to while you're preparing a sermon or just playing a video game or just driving in the car?
Those would be 3 very different things, and
so
and I think that different kinds of music are good for different types of things. So that would be very different. So I'll just go with top 3 bands in general. Would be Alan Parsons Project, absolutely. Number 1, somewhat of a Christian, at least. Talks actually about repentance in one of his songs.
Okay.
Peter Gabriel, fantastic, musically incredible and diverse in his music. I mean, he does every type of different music pretty much. That's influenced. I mean, it's all rock, but it's influenced by all kinds of different things from all across the world.
Right.
And the third one would be surprising probably to some people. I would say David Gilmour from Pink Floyd. I would put Pink Floyd in there, but because of Roger Waters' stuff, kind of makes that a little more dark, as in the dark side of the moon, whereas Gilmour takes out a lot of the dark side, but musically, that is just incredible. I'm not talking necessarily about the lyrics on that one
with
Floyd, but musically, there's nothing that can compare.
Well, because the thing is basically all top three right there: Alan Parsons, Peter Gabriel, and David Gilmour. All three of them have almost the same type of music, where it's all just. They're not your typical secular music at all. None of them are.
I call it symphonic rock.
Symphonic rock. All three of them.
Yes.
Okay.
It's.
I'll make sure I write that down.
I believe that, and I've been challenged on this before, and so far I've been proved to be right. I believe that in 100 years from now, those three groups will be considered among what at that point people will be listening to as classical music. It's already called classic rock,
right?
So it's close.
Isn't that sad though? That stuff we grew up on, you just call it classic already. Before it was Bach and Beethoven, now it's
I don't have any problem with that. I don't have any problem with getting old or young. Either way.
I mean, Eminem's considered, legend now. So it's like, and I am, I'm 32. I mean, right? Eminem was back when I was young. So it's like, oh.
I'm still young, so.
Exactly. There you go. And let's go with the next one someone had was, what's one word that you would use to describe yourself?
Can I use a hyphenated word?
Sure.
God-fearing or God-loving?
God-fearing, God-loving. One of those two?
Yeah.
Hey, Get Real. Appreciate you dropping in. That's Mom, by the way.
Hi. Never been asked that question, so I hadn't really thought about that at all.
Really?
Yeah.
Surprise. I feel more, like excitable or off the wall or
thought of bold, but
bold. You're bold,
but it's a smart bold.
Gotcha.
It's not what most people think, and so one word is tough to describe me.
Mine's different.
What's your word?
Different.
Different. Oh, that is the word.
Yeah, different.
I thought you meant the word that you had was different.
Different. Yeah, no, just
that
different.
is definitely one of the things that people most automatically think of about me is he's different.
Yep.
I used to think that was a bad thing when I was a kid.
Or you can go with the actual term for weird.
Weird means spiritual.
Exactly. So you can go, weird.
Like when Shakespeare talked about the three sisters weird, he was talking about witches. He meant the three sisters spiritual.
There you go. So I mean,
it's kind of changed over time.
Well, yeah, a lot of words have changed. You don't go that far though. But and then the one of the last questions that someone had though was, what was your favorite verse in the Bible and why?
I would say it's from 1 John. It's a scripture about he who walks in love walks in God. Okay. God is a lot of things. God is righteous. God is holy. God is perfect. God is pure. God is great. God is loving. But it never says about a person who walks in righteousness that they walk in God. In fact, I know a lot of people who are righteous, who are very condemning, who are very hateful people to be around. They don't really walk in God, even though they are very strictly righteous,
right? In
one sense. But he who walks in love, which includes all those other things, it includes righteousness, it includes integrity, keeping your word, etc. He who walks in love walks in God, and that gives me a good purpose, a good guideline in life. If I want to be more like God, the goal is not necessarily just to be more righteous.
Okay.
It's to be more loving. But that includes righteousness. It includes all the other things.
Gotcha. Makes sense. So the thing people wondered a lot though was so where can they find you guys on the website, like on the web? Where can they find you?
Ifyouwantthetruth.com without any spaces.
Two T's? Right?
Yes.
Truth.com?
Yep.
Truth.com. There we go.
And we called it that because my opinion is a lot of people don't want the truth. But if people do, there are answers. And a lot of people use it as an excuse. Well, pastors don't have any answers, and I've asked them these questions and they don't know. There isn't really an excuse because the answers are out there if people want to search for it.
Right. And the thing too is also there is sermons in there.
Yep.
That you put on there. Book.
One book that I have. It's about 100-page book, but
100-page, but it's worth it.
It's a great one.
It's a great one. A lot of editing. And a lot of work on there.
The church has helped me with it to edit it and make it a little bit more streamlined and user friendly.
Very user friendly.
Yes.
And then there's also testimonies on there.
Yes.
Testimonies. And then also
including some of mine.
Yep. Miracles. Your beliefs, more or less, on in the biblical sense, as well as is it personal beliefs too, or just spiritual beliefs?
Basically what the church believes, what our doctrine is.
Okay. I only read the thing twice, so I did. I should have gone through it one more time before we started the stream.
No, you're doing good.
The other thing too was like, so someone asked me the other day, said, you know, because I go to church, you know, on Wednesdays and Sundays, and going, you know, you do a lot of work, you do a lot of church, you do a lot of work, you do a lot of streaming, but what does your church think about just streaming in general with people in the public? Like, you know, how is streaming and doing these interviews going to help yourself in the spiritual sense and to reach other people? And I think doing streams like this would help, because one of the best ways to get a hold of people is through the web or through online services, because not everybody's going to be sitting at TV at home all day long. Some will, but a lot of people who are on the web are looking for answers for, you know, either conspiracies or theological questions, or like, especially recent these days events, you know, like, you know, what's going on in the real world. And one of the things is kind of a twist of what your website is. If you want to know the truth, it's going to be like, is it really worth pushing that button sometimes? People ask, you know, is it really the truth I want to know? You know, and that's going to be the main. I was telling somebody about the website. I said, you know, it's the site, the website itself, the meaning has a hidden meaning in the background. You know, a lot of things that we talk about have a hidden meaning in a sense that there's more behind the
deeper
phrase.
meaning.
Yes, there's always a deeper reasoning for why you made that
right.
Your website is why you said there's gonna be, you know, I guess
the more you dig, the deeper, the more
right.
stuff you're gonna find, and even in the same thing, like the Bible, you can read it 20 times, and the deeper you go every single time, the more you're gonna keep on getting.
Exactly, and the thing I was trying to explain was, like, you know, I enjoy you when you're able to explain words I don't understand, because if I was just to see this website and I'm gonna go government conspiracies, you know, it's like, so I'm gonna click on it before I'm gonna question myself before I click on that website. You know, it's like, you know, what does he mean by this on his website? And then to explain what you meant by that, it's gonna help people explain to people why you use that certain phrase for that website. You know. And it's like opening a whole new book when you open that website sometimes. It's like a whole new world in a sense. You're going, this is what, you know, people say, well, it's just your opinions, you know, but I've seen a lot of it. I know the truth is, you know, I've lived through part of that, you know, and so I think that people who are willing to, I'm going to say, not take a risk and find the truth, but the truth is what it says in the Bible, the truth will set you free. Right. You know. And that's like people are too scared to be free because they never had that feeling before, you know.
The Bible tends to indicate that there's like one person out of 1,000 who really wants the truth. Okay. And there's a couple different statements, including Solomon's statement about there being one man in 1,000 who's righteous. Right. But the cool thing about the web is when you're that one person and you got 1,000 people around you, it's like people used to say to me all the time, Craig, are you saying that if you believe something the entire rest of the world believes differently, that you're right? That was hard to answer. Right. But as I grew up and got outside of my little Dutch community, I found out, oh, there are a whole lot of other people who believe this. Right. And I found out that just because the whole group of people who that we're around tend to all have the same type of ideas, or even in one time in history, you know, most people tend to have the same attitude about things and I was planning on giving an example, but almost anything I use was going to be politically incorrect in some form or fashion.
Right.
Because what people believe today is not the same thing that people believed just 50 years ago. And so the thing that's cool about the web is all those 1 in 1,000 people who really want the truth, because of the web, they can all come into a place like your streams. And they can all come together and go, there's other people who are like me. There's other people who want the truth.
Right.
There's other people that I can actually have real discussions that are meaningful.
Right. Which is always good to have, because a lot of the things is like you're always saying, you hear a lot of people say you're so immature these days. You hear that a lot. I hear a lot more at work, but
Yeah, I'm a little immature, I admit.
Well, I'm just saying, you're more mature than most. You're willing to talk to people instead of being hardcore emotions is more thing. People are saying you're so emotional, you're so dramatic, you're so, and
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
So a lot of people will go by their feelings instead of this is the facts. Here is your facts, and people are going, well, you don't understand how I feel. No, I'm telling you with my facts, it'll make you feel better. But yeah, face the facts first. That's part of the love they were talking at the very beginning. You're not willing to face the facts that love does this to you, and it may hurt.
I love feelings, but I just don't want to be controlled by them.
Right.
I find that people who are controlled by them end up getting hurt by them, and they end up having all their feelings end up in the long run being bad.
Right.
People who are in control of their feelings and who make their decisions. Oh, someone tries to get you drunk. Oh, that might feel good for the brief moment. It's not going to feel good tomorrow morning.
Right.
So by refusing to give in to your feelings right now, I'm going to feel better in the future. So
Gotcha.
I like feelings, no problem with feelings. But feelings are only a small part of the whole equation. They're a small part of the information that comes into me that I make my decision upon. And that final decision, maybe 2 to 3% of it's based on the feelings coming in.
Gotcha. That makes sense. So before we get to our closing statements here, if anybody, again, if you have any questions at all for our pastor here or even for myself, please make sure you write down.
Be smart.
Please make sure you write down your questions in here. Again, be respectful, be clean, be polite. We have another about 10 minutes before we're done. So if you want to have any questions that maybe you want to ask for the next interview, which there'll be more interviews, believe me.
Okay, thanks.
We will. This is fun. We will have these questions for you. Hopefully within a month or sooner. Who knows if how you will like another interview or not, and then we'll go from there. But closing statements is basically, I appreciate you being on the stream. Taking time to be on a gaming channel.
First time I've been broadcast worldwide
In a while.
I think ever.
Never?
I've been on TV, but I've never been broadcast worldwide.
Gotcha. Well, that's good though.
Yeah.
That's good. And so the thing is like, I'm sure everybody here appreciates it, including the community and the crew, because we've been trying to do new things with our interviews, trying to know people who inspire me, which is you're one of the people who are a great inspiration to keep trying new things without having a feeling of fear. Right. Which this is a huge jump for me to go from, just your common guy trying to make YouTube videos where no one watches you to let's go live worldwide. It's going. And so the thing is talking to like mom, my dad, Christy from the manga, and then other people in my crew as well as community like Banshee. Everybody has inspired me in so many different ways, but you've done the most by saying you encouraged me in a way that I couldn't get from my my own conscience in a sense. My own desires were pushed aside when I said, hey, what do you think about this? And you're saying, well, try it. What's it gonna hurt? It's like, hasn't hurt me yet. It's been a blessing. I haven't seen the downside to it yet. And we have another 2.5 months before we get our first year in, which that's a huge blessing. I never thought this channel would be alive for a year. So
it's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool. And so basically, what is your opinion about streamers in general?
I think I kind of covered that in my last statement. I think that it's cool for people to have a place where they can get together with other people who are like-minded, which I think that there is the danger, of course, that we don't, we get so caught up in the computer that we don't interact with some of those 1,000 people around us.
Right.
And I think we need to do both. But I think that streaming is a great way to find people who are more like us, who are not necessarily going to see those definitely right next door. You're very extremely lucky if you have a neighbor or something like that who happens to have similar tastes as you do.
True. And then the other thing too is, would you be ever willing to sit down for about half an hour and explain to people your strategies of Masters of Orion?
Sure.
Sure. Okay.
I will not give them all away.
Okay.
The master always holds back a couple.
The master of Masters of Orion.
Yes. But I'll give a number of them. Sure.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, we discussed it before, where we said we start doing a podcast and have you discuss some of your strategies in certain games, or especially Masters of Orion, because you love Masters of Orion.
Right.
Like, it's your favorite game in the world. And then the other thing was that people wanted to see us play chess one of these days, and I'm like, that's not going to happen immediately, but I wouldn't mind doing it as a recording, because it can be a long stream if we just played chess.
Then you can cut out all the places where people are thinking.
Exactly. I was going 3 hours later, I think this chess piece goes here. And you're going, finally! Checkmate! No! But yeah.
He actually played me in 3D chess, so that's pretty cool. Spock Jr.
Halfway. I played halfway.
You played the whole game through, didn't you?
My dad finished it.
That's right. Yeah.
Spock Jr.
You were not doing too bad for a brand new game that you've never played before.
Okay, so 3D chess, don't try it with this guy. Play with someone who's a rookie. I have no idea how I did. I'm looking at the layers, are going, I think this goes, okay, so I'm looking at the rules going, yes, that is straightway, yes, and you move down one, and okay, we're good now. I'm like an idiot playing that game, like, I don't know.
It does add at least 3 layers of complications.
Yes. Yeah, think in 3D, and my dad is great doing that already, and I'm going...
Yeah, your dad is really good on that, because he's got that mind for, the machining and stuff like that.
Right.
So.
And then the other thing too is behind you have all these board games that you can then choose from next time you want to come back here and go, hey, so out of the games here, what would you choose to do a stream on?
Okay.
And then basically if you want to do like top 3, and we'll vote top 3 and then give it to the community and say, hey, what would you guys enjoy having, my pastor and I play with either community, or we have my dad here as well, and then do a small crew, if you would, and just go, let's discuss theology while we're playing games, or understand the strategy of certain games while we're discussing over a cup of tea or whatever.
Sounds good.
But yeah, so that's the idea. Is I want to be able to use certain things such as the prop and everything, and be able to put up a camera on top of the board game, all that type of thing. Mm-hmm. We're working on that. We're working on getting a different camera setup, because this is just the only camera I have right now.
Okay.
But we have hopefully another camera on our way soon, which is free, which is nice.
Yeah, you guys have been a major blessing to him. So,
including this awesome PC.
Yes.
But yeah, so I've not had any questions so far yet, and no questions yet.
Come on, guys.
But if you have any questions, though, this will be on YouTube, by the way. If you're not on my YouTube channel already, check that out there. I'll be posting this on YouTube because I can't do it till 24 hours from now. It is through stream or through Twitch. So I'll be posting this YouTube video probably on Monday. So on Monday afternoon, it'll be uploaded, and you'll be able to ask your questions on there as well. And then I'll be able to bring them up to you on Wednesday. Okay. If there are actually legit questions.
And remember, there's no such thing as a stupid question until you ask it for about the 1,000th time. But yes. Apart from that, I've even taken a lot of silly questions and managed to bring them into something that was a little bit more.
Oh, Rizzle has one.
We got a question.
Favorite sermon topic.
Favorite sermon topic.
This could be another hour stream.
I'm not going to preach the whole sermon, okay. So you're safe. It's got to be, again, love, because that's just the core of everything. and what that really means, which is so involved. You know, when I say the topic of love, you know, if someone asks me what place in the Bible is a good place where it's talking about love, the entire Bible.
Yeah.
Seeing as God is love and the entire Bible is a revelation of who God is, the entire Bible is a description of what love really is. It's that in depth. It's both simple, but also it's very deep and a lot to it.
Which is why people say the book, the Bible itself is basically is a love book. Is all it is.
Yep.
You know, it's from
It's
the
a
very
love letter.
beginning.
Love letter from God to us.
From the very beginning to the very end, it's basically love. I mean, even though the end of the world is in the book, it's still a message of love from God, you know.
Even the judgments. If there were no judgments, people would never change.
Mm-hmm.
And that's still a part of God's love, even though to our pea-brained minds, it's hard to understand.
So does that answer your question there, Rizzo? Hope I answered your question. So the favorite sermon topic is love.
Or do you have a follow-up?
Do you have a follow-up question about do you believe in dogs that go to heaven?
Actually,
that's big for me.
That's actually a little bit more complicated than you might think. I will just simply say that the general answer to that is, I'm sorry, but no.
Right.
Yeah. That's the simple question answer. If you want a lot more in-depth answer to that, it'll take me five minutes.
Okay.
So, and I'm not sure you want that right now.
Well, because I know we can create things while we're in heaven. Like we're in heaven creating, you know, new worlds and new things. I'm pretty sure we have time to make our own dogs.
Sure.
While we're in heaven, but from my understanding, you know, when animals die, they don't have the same type of spirit as we do. They're
Correct.
basically they're just there as a you would say God's little guardians in a sense. You know,
the animals do have souls and spirits, but it's it's not an immortal soul and spirit. It talks in Genesis when it says everything that has the breath of life.
Right.
That word breath is actually nefesh kai, with soul of life. Okay. Which is literally soul of life.
Okay.
And so what that means is that animals do have souls, and they can think, they can understand what we're doing a lot more than most people give them credit for.
That's why you can train them pretty well.
It's right. But only humans at the current moment have an immortal soul that will go either to heaven or hell, will not just disappear when we die.
Gotcha. So there's the answer to that question I had. I had that when I was a little kid, and I still have that question to this day. People ask me, you know, do you believe in dogs or cats, or your favorite animal being going to heaven because of my dogs? You know, I've seen past. I'm going, if I could have that same dog when I was a kid, be there in heaven when I get there, that'd be awesome. But I can
be better.
Right, I can make 25 of her, you know, and they'll be as cool and better than the original. So,
but you've had at least one very awesome dog.
Incredible dog.
I mean, that dog was smart. When his, might if I share a brief story on that? When his grandmother had oxygen tanks, and as we prayed for her, she got better and didn't need to use those. And when she one day came out without the oxygen tank, Booten, that was the name of the dog, who was very smart. Booten saw that his grandmother did not have the oxygen tanks, knew that she always needed them, went into her room, grabbed the oxygen tanks in her mouth, and brought them out to her because Booten thought she needed them. That's
very smart dog.
Yeah.
I mean, just notice that detail, you know. And then people say, you know, dogs are just dumb, and LC is black and white. This dog had, you know, purpose, you know.
Right.
This dog knew that life was needed. So
yeah.
But yeah, that
depends on the dog.
Yeah, if it's Chihuahua, it's a different story. You know?
Not gonna touch that.
But yeah, so that's all the time we have for today, though. We will be seeing you guys next time, hopefully. I'll make sure to have this also set up on my Discord, showing next time we do a stream with my pastor again, and also another interview. If you're looking for more interview topics as well, we have Banshee Return coming out to the show hopefully real soon, either this week or next week. We're doing an interview with him via Discord, and then also maybe Ava as well. So Ava was we talked this morning a little bit about it, and she's interested in doing our interview, which would be great for our company as well, and hopefully get some more liked on her channel as well, because she's been growing a lot, and she's one of the people who has helped our channel grow in a sense of making new ideas for content. We just helped with the Fortnite and all that. So with that, guys, I appreciate you guys being
Thank you all for having me.
Yep, and again, it's laughing lasagna all day long, guys. You know how it is. Have a good one, guys. God bless and take care.